Well, kind of worked the way I thought it would. Kind of didn't. But the outcome was ultimately the same, so we're good. All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Calling in all angels. Actually, probably good afternoon when you get this. But it is time for the Wings of the Angels podcast covering the most recent Angel City match, which was a midweek game between themselves and Kansas City Current, both of whom are now sitting in the top half of the league after the result of this matchup. And Angel City 2-1, just as thought. Actually, exactly as thought. And yet, even though the events kind of flowed the way I expected, game itself had a lot more twists and turns than I was expecting. So let's talk a little about it. I'll zoom out to my to the slide I did for the recap of it. There we go. At least all the information's there. All right, so this game pretty much from the word go was Angel City's until suddenly it very much wasn't. As you can look down, time of possession ultimately ended up very much favoring Kansas City. They had nearly 60% of possession. The shots on target were basically even. And yet, Angel City had more shot opportunities. And a lot of that came from front loading the game. Angel City was leading in possession at probably between the 30 to 35 minute mark. I remember them posting the stat about it. And to that point, they had been dominating pretty thoroughly, as evidenced by the fact that the only goal up to that point was Giselle Thompson's in the 9th minute, where she basically just broke through, fired from the right side of the box, and just drilled it. Hard shot, keeper wasn't ready, and quick goal. It was an excellent one to watch. I enjoyed that goal quite greatly. That was also before the live feed started having its main issues. I noticed that those who were paying attention probably noticed, believe, happened somewhere between the 30 and 45 minute mark, which is interestingly about the time that this game started going off the rails for Angel City. Ali Setner's goal in the 45th minute came as a result of increased aggression towards the goal from Kansas City. They started really looking a lot better. Angel City had not taken enough advantage in that half hour where they were really strong. They definitely front loaded their attack and were burnt out a bit. And so when Zentner tied it, it was genuinely concerning because it meant Angel City would have to reignite what they did at the start of the game. I do get very worried that this team seems to have really only one big burst in a match, and that is either at the very beginning where they front load it or at the very end when they're trying to make a comeback and they're firing off. So they're going to need a couple of sustained attacks for this to be a consistent thing. Today they were able to get it as a result of a big momentum swing, but you can't be relying on crazy stuff like that. Speaking of, second half, Kansas City was dominating the first 10 minutes. Very poor play from Angel City at the beginning of the second half, and it led to a tackle in the box where the referee awards a penalty. Lo Labonta ends up being the one assigned to take it. Angelina Anderson in goal. And you're fortunate here that the choice was they were going to the right, but they were trying to come in low because they thought Anderson was going to dive. And instead, she reads it, and she does kind of lean in, but she doesn't really go. She doesn't lay out completely, and she is able to corral it and shut down the penalty kick. And that was the shift of the game. Angel City played solid for probably the next 15 minutes, right up to the point where Thompson gets a cross over to Fuller, who finishes and gets them a goal. And I think a lot of that really is attributed to just all the work that went into that the momentum swing. Everything really flipped on its head there and got Angel City that second goal. And then from there, Kansas City very aggressive. Angel City mostly just trying to ride it out. Casey Fair gets a yellow card, by the way, during that hot streak, but mostly out of aggression there. Neely Martin's yellow card in the 85th was kind of at a dangerous point. I don't know how many in the fan base are looking at, but for all of Martin's definite positive, she is very good at weaving through. I do notice that whenever something really major's happen, whenever something is starting to turn in the wrong direction, it's in her part of the field. I don't know if she's necessarily the part, but she appears to be a common thread, and so I would be curious of if, because it's always in a later portion on her stint in, if there needs to be like a check to how long in the game are we pushing her. Is there a point where she's starting to burn out? Because I've noticed that it's been in a couple of games now. I'll have to go back and really track it, and I'll definitely see if it continues. But just from what I've noticed, it seems to happen somewhere beyond the 70th minute. If something flips on its head, she's either on the play or she's around the play, and so that leads me to wonder if she should be in that 60-minute sub window where the first substitutions happen, if that's kind of like where she's at her most effective, and then that's where the move is made, or if it might be an underlying conditioning thing. That said, everyone played effectively through, and for while I just got on her case, she was instrumental throughout the early portion and in the later portion, because even after the 85th, she was in the right place during a couple of attacks during injury time. So for all I just got on there, I don't really have too many complaints on the players who were on the pitch today, or on Wednesday rather. I think it's more just we need to start identifying trends now that we've gone through the first third of the season, and we are looking towards what is going to be the plan after this June break. Because basically from June 1st through July 2nd, there are no NWSL matches other than the supporters, the Challenge Cup. So that means a lot of stuff within the actual team's vantage point need to be considered. We need to get a serious rotation in mind for how we're going to do these last 19 or so games once the game later today and the game next week is taken care of. All right, so as I said, in terms of this year, just move myself back into full view. One thing I do want to say is for all the people who have been dumping on Angelina Anderson, and I've heard seen or at least seen a few flipping through the Reddit. Yeah, no. There are very few goals this season I would even attribute to goalkeeper error. She has been in the right place at the right times in a bunch of ones, and this one in particular, I don't know a lot of keepers who I would trust in that situation. She earned that trust right there. So definitely happy with the keeper choice here. Obviously, she won't be able to run all 30 matches. She'll want a rest at some point, and I hope our backups are prepared at that stage. But as it stands now, solid look. All right, so we need to get into the preview of this one. And Angel City's already in East Texas now, getting ready for their match with the Houston Dash, who, if you remember, were an early opponent while Angel City was still undefeated. During the week, in fact, that they became the final undefeated, they defeated Houston in a very competitive match at BMO Stadium. On the road this time, a little different of a setup. However, the trajectories have been similar, but not as drastic for Angel City. Both teams have looked a lot worse since that match, but Angel City has at least kept themselves looking like an upper half team, where Houston, it does feel like they have established themselves as a lower half team. And I do think that will be on display here. Angel City, obviously, this is their second time around, but they showed against Portland in the rematch that they have learned from mistakes. They are a team that learns from it. And I do think that will be on display here with Houston. I don't know if the same mistakes that led to Houston succeeding will be in place here. Angel City's defense looks a lot more locked in. Very much a sturdy effort. It was sheer volume, I believe, of pressure that finally got Kansas City a goal. So in terms of this, I would just say I'm going to go with Angel City to pick up this win. I'm going to say it's a fairly definitive matchup. And yeah, I've gone through, I went through it in a bit of more detail with the actual game previews. So I know I talked quite a bit on the game to previous. So I won't hold too much on this, but that is the 5:45 match. This would be a live stream if I was available for it. This one is a week where I'm not, unfortunately. So that is why I had the Wednesday game on live. You can still look at that. I believe it is still up and available for all, in all its scuffed glory. And yeah, we'll see some hopefully great displays of work here from Angel City. I'm looking on the schedule for next week. If Angel City's match falls in a good window, you'll see me in there as well. So look forward to that. Enjoy your soccer. Angel City specifically, you are here for that if you're on this video anyway. And go Angels!